got 2 hands up, 3. Give me one more. Okay, Donovan, go ahead. Tell me.
It made transportation of goods a lot easier.
Okay, it made transportation of goods a lot easier. Awesome. So, where were the majority of our factories at?
Up north.
Up north, right? They were primarily in this area. Okay. Out here, we know that there were a lot of natural resources available, right? Iron, ore, coal, lumber, all that stuff. So it was hugely important that these natural resources were able to be put on the Transcontinental Railroad and brought back to the factories where they could be made into a good, right? Okay, what other positive impact did the Transcontinental Railroad have? So it definitely allowed for goods to be transported. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, Tamara, go ahead.
I think because they gave people jobs to do.
Okay, that's accurate, yes. It definitely, to construct a transcontinental railroad, you're going to have a lot of workers, right? Okay. What else? What about where people lived? How did the Transcontinental Railroad impact that? Giovanni, what do you think?
It caused many Native Americans to move out of their homeland.
Okay, so that's one of the negatives, right? These Plains Indians we talked about, they were treated pretty poorly, right? Yeah. We talked about Transcontinental Railroad. You guys did a great job with the pros and cons. We talked about the abundance of natural resources that we now had access to, right? And we could take those natural resources from the west, ship them to our factories in the northeast. Okay? Also, we talked about this idea of mass production. Prior to this, we made everything by hand. Because of industrialization, we were making things with the use of machines, with all these new inventions. Okay? That meant that we were now able to make so much more than we made before. Okay? So was America able to keep up? Did we buy or need all the things that we were producing?
No.
No. So when you have more than what you need, what do we refer to that as? Greedy. What do we refer to it as? It's an economic term.
Surplus.
Surplus, right? Surplus means you've got more than what you need. So that surplus encouraged and allowed us to start trading with other countries. Okay? So we took those excess products, those excess goods, we started trading, doing international trade. Okay? So let's see exactly who was behind all this industrial growth. Okay? Alright, so these guys that we're going to be talking about, they're referred to as industry giants. Okay? Now, when we look at these 2 images, let's talk about this for a minute. What do we see if we're focused on this image? What do we see? Just shout it out to me.
A rich businessman.
Okay, a rich businessman. Why do you think that they're a rich businessman?
Because of how they
Entrepreneurs.
Because of how they're dressed, okay. Maybe entrepreneurs, okay. What else do we see?
They have nice clothes.
They have nice clothes.
All suits, all hats.
All suits, all hats. Do they look like decent people?
Yeah.
They're all smiling. They look kind of nice, right? We can assume that they're probably like a nice, wealthier businessman, okay? Then if we look at this political cartoon over here, what do we see when we are focusing our attention on this image? What do we see here?
A big man.
Okay, a big man. Why do you think he's greedy?
And fat. Yes.
Because he's heavy set? Okay, so what's that tell us?
He
has more
than he can handle.
Okay, he has more than he can handle. He needs to share. Okay, he's probably not hurting for anything, right? He definitely has enough food. Okay, what about just like the way that he's standing, guys? What does that tell us about him?
Oh, I thought he was sitting. He looking like
What's that
I'm the
tell us?
man.
He's looking like I'm the man. Maybe he looks a little cocky.
Like he owns everything.
Like he owns everything, right? Okay, what about his facial expressions? Does he look like he's happy to be there?
No.
No, man.
Love on his face.
He's just like, okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today, guys. That's what we're going to be focusing on. Because these industry giants, these men that built America, that made America the way that we see it today, they had multiple opinions of them. Okay, Americans, some people viewed them as these guys. Okay, which they refer to them as captains of industry. That sounds nice, right? Sounds important. Okay, so some people thought that these industry giants, these people that we're going to talk about today, that they were captains of industry. They were these nice, wealthy, well-dressed businessmen making America. Okay, other people viewed them like this. Okay, greedy, maybe lazy, not happy, just like in control, controlling. Okay, and we refer to them as robber barons. So, what does the word robber make you think of?
Stealing.
Stealing.
Yeah.
Okay, robbing stuff. Okay, so That's what we're going to be talking about today, guys. We're going to be viewing them. So as we are talking about these men, I want you to be thinking to yourself, are they a robber baron? Are they this heavier set man puffing on a cigar? Or are they captains of industry? Are these well-dressed, nice-looking guys? Okay? So now I want you to talk to the person sitting next to you. Think about this. We're making predictions. Why is this going to be beneficial that there is now a direct route from New York City to Chicago? Okay, so talk to your partner viewers. Okay? You are a successful businessman and you own this super awesome, super successful business in New York City. And now there's an opportunity for you to get on a train and go straight to Chicago. Why is that going to be beneficial to you?
It's more convenient.
It's more convenient. Okay, what might it prompt you to do?
Travel more.
Okay, think like a businessman.
Start your own business there.
Oh.
Start your own business where?
In Chicago.
In Chicago. You might expand your business. Okay, so this direct route is going to be very significant. Okay, so Cornelius Vanderbilt was the industry giant for the railroad. Okay, and the big thing that he did is he made this direct route from New York City to Chicago. So as we're doing this westward expansion, this is huge. It's going to allow businessmen to expand their businesses to Chicago. Okay, the next one we're going to be talking about, oil industry. Okay, so moving down on your graphic organizer. Okay, the industry giant for him is going to be John D. Rockefeller. Have you guys heard the name Rockefeller before?
Yeah, like Rockefeller Plaza in New York.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, so we've heard Rockefeller. That's because, guys, when America was being built, this family was incredibly prominent. Okay, they had a lot of money. They were able to contribute to the building of America. So where did they get this money? Well, John D. Rockefeller starts this thing called the Standard Oil Trust. Okay, so this is the nation's very first trust. Now, what is a trust? If you guys look at your vocab sheet, it's going to tell you that it's a business arrangement where a number of businesses unite to be Andrew Carnegie. Okay, Andrew Carnegie is the big man. Okay, with steel. So we talked about John D. Rockefeller used horizontal integration. Andrew Carnegie uses vertical integration. So vertical tells us it's going to be what?
Up and down.
Up and down. Okay. So what this means, guys, he owned all of the companies needed to produce the final product. So everything from what resources you needed, he owned. Okay? Whatever you needed to manufacture steel, he owned all of that. And everything you needed to distribute the steel, he owned all of that. So every step of steel production, he owned every single step. Okay? So is he going to be making a lot of money too? Yes, very much so. Okay? Another cool fact about Andrew Carnegie, he was a philanthropist. Have you guys heard the term philanthropy?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, yeah. What's it mean? You know?
A philanthropist.
It's one of those words you like heard, but you don't really know what it means, right? Okay.
Don't they
So,
talk about,
what?
talk about problems? I mean, not talking about problems, but...
Kind of. You talk about charity, okay? So you identify a problem and you try to raise money for it. Okay, so if you guys, when you get to college, a lot of like sororities and fraternities will have philanthropy events. Okay, it's where they identify a charity or a charitable cause and they do some type of fundraiser to raise money for it. Okay. What Andrew Carnegie did is he actually wrote something that he referred to as the gospel of wealth. And it said that he believed that Americans have two roles. Okay, number one, you should make money. Number two, you should then take that money and, yes, serve others with it. Okay, do something that's going to give back to your community, that's going to give back to the public, and help people out. Okay, so so when we look at Andrew Carnegie and we're thinking of captain of industry versus robber baron. Now, do you guys agree or disagree with Andrew Carnegie's theory of this gospel of wealth? Raise your hand. Do you agree with Andrew Carnegie's theory of gospel of wealth? And tell me why. Jada, what you think?
I agree with him.
You agree with it? Okay, you gotta justify it. Tell me why.
Because he's trying to make money and serve to help others.
Okay, so you think that's a notable thing? Good. All right. So is anyone still confused about horizontal integration and vertical integration?
Well, isn't it pretty much the same thing?
You guys think you're experts on it?
No.
No? All right.
Not experts, but
Not
we know about
experts.
that.
Well, we gotta be experts, okay? So let's get this down first, okay? John D. Rockefeller used horizontal integration. Andrew Carnegie used vertical integration, okay? So who used vertical integration?
Andrew Carnegie.
Who used horizontal integration?
John
John D. Rockefeller.
Andrew Carnegie used what?
Vertical.
Gotcha. Vertical integration, okay? John D. Rockefeller used what?
Horizontal.
Horizontal integration. Good. So now let's break it down a little more. Let's understand this a little better. Okay? I realize it's a little blurry, but adjust. You'll be all right. Okay? So this shows vertical and horizontal integration. Okay? This row right here, guys, this is your resources. Okay? These are the raw materials that go into producing your final product. Here is manufacturing. Okay? These are your factories. This is where that raw good is made into something. Okay, and then this is distribution. Okay, this is how you take that finished good and distribute it to your consumers. Okay, so vertical integration was who?
Andrew.
Y'all are experts. Come on, you told me you were experts.
Oh, what you say?
Okay, so vertical integration is Andrew Carnegie. Good. Okay, so what Andrew Carnegie did? Good. What Andrew Carnegie did is he owned every step of raw materials. Okay, anywhere we were getting raw materials from, he owned it. Anywhere that we were having factories to make that good into a product, he owned that. And whatever we were using to distribute that steel, he owned it. Okay? Vertical integration. He owned every step to the process. Okay? Who did horizontal integration?
John
John D.
Rockefeller.
Rockefeller. Okay? So instead of owning every step, he just owned all of one step. Okay? So Standard Oil Trust, John D. Rockefeller, he owned all of the oil companies, okay? He didn't care about the mining and the refining to get the oil or the distributing of it. He just cared about the oil company itself, okay? All right, so these men, they are referred to as the men who built America, okay? Tomorrow we're going to add one more, J.P. Morgan. We'll talk about him and capitalism, all that stuff. But today, these are the guys, they built America. Some of them had questionable ways of doing it, okay? Maybe it wasn't seen as fair. But if we look at these two things, Donovan, you pointed this out at the beginning of class, right? Okay, Rockefeller Center is in New York City. It was built 1930 to 1939. Okay, so who funded this? Take a guess, guys. Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller, and that Standard Oil Trust. Okay, Carnegie Hall. This is a famous performance center in New York City. Okay, it was built in 1893. Who do you think provided the money for it?
Carnegie.
Andrew Carnegie. Okay. So, robber barons or captains of industry? You think captains of industry?
Well, one.
Maybe they're split. Maybe one's one, one's the other
I
one.
say Rockefeller is a robber baron and Carnegie is a captain.
Okay.
Carnegie wants to make money and serve people.
Okay. All right. So, today we've mainly just focused on what these guys do, right? What these men did, how they built America. Okay? Tomorrow and Thursday we're going to be focusing on how that had an impact on the rest of society. Okay? So after that conversation you might have a different opinion. Okay? Alright, so what we're going to do right now, you guys have the card with the number on it, right?
Yes.
Okay, raise your hand if you have a red card. Raise your hand nice and high if you have a red card. Alright, so my red card people, okay, you guys are going to be doing a gallery walk. You have stations back here. So on the back of your notes, okay, on the back of your notes, you will see station 1 and some questions, okay? Over here, guys, you're going to have political cartoons. Okay, there's one right here. There's one on the middle table. And then over here, you have an excerpt from Andrew Carnegie's Gospel of Wealth, okay? So you are going to make your round. Raise your hand if you have a red number 1. Okay, red number 1, so you're going to start out at station number 1. Raise your hand if you have a red number 2. Okay, you're going to start out at that middle station. Raise your hand if you have a red number 3. Okay, so Tamara, you're going to start right here at that station. Okay, my blue card people. Who has a blue card? Okay, you guys are going to be doing charades, but it's the talking kind of charades, okay? So you guys can come up here, bring your vocab sheet and your notes. Go ahead to your stations. You'll have